Again. Michael, good to see you.
Yeah, good to
Michael, are
see
you
you,
there?
Sean.
Yeah,
I
so
am.
this
Can
is
you hear
a
me?
workshop. Yeah. Is there a delay? It seems like we're out of sync.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, there's quite a delay there, I think. Can you hear me? Speak now?
I can hear you. I can hear you pretty good.
Oh, weird. Okay, cool. This is our, I guess we missed it last week, but our workshopping funny thing where we kind of work out loud on stuff. So, for those that haven't seen this before, Michael and I are working on a book together that really isn't meant to be funny, but I'm sure it's got anecdotes in it. Um, but Michael is I can call you a professional stand-up comedian. You get paid on occasion,
I
right?
say amateur. No, amateur. I do it as a hobby, and yeah, mainly as a hobby. I take it seriously when I do it, but I would still say definitely amateur.
Okay. Have you been paid for stand-up at some point?
I've been offered to have been paid, like a very small amount,
And you
and I
declined.
just I kind of want to. And I backed out of one gig because it was like in the middle of like a pandemic and stuff, and I was all paranoid. But yeah, so I've been offered to be paid, but haven't actually accepted money. I was in the semifinals of a competition that would have won money, but no. Usually, yeah, I'm just happy to be on shows or do open mics or whatever I can.
Okay, so we'll set expectations that these are amateur, funny people.
Absolutely. Amateur in several different ways.
Yeah. So we didn't have anything prepared, but I did say I wanted to run something by you, which is really nothing to do with stand up, but it's more just an idea that I've been stealing and either going to turn into shirts or I don't know. I was going to talk through what I'm trying to do here. So I'm 52. We have this sort of wellness center. We're trying to direct people towards uh, ways to help with their mental health, anxiety, stress, trauma release. We're providing a place that you can do such things, and it's a safe and comfortable, but ideally enjoyable experience. So one thing I've learned in the last couple of years is that meditation, moving my body, eating well, all the things that we know we're supposed to do, it's come full circle how clear and important that is now. Like beyond, it really just actually changes your life because you're in sync with yourself and you become a human magnet. And that's kind of what's going on for me lately. So we have this wellness center, this place of curiosity in Brentwood Bay called Funky Town, and we're kind of sassy. So we're not just like a yoga studio where everyone's just saying namaste and walking around in beige, you know, uh, burlap sacks and drinking tea. There's a little bit more than that going on here. Although maybe I'm being judgmental. But I saw a shirt the other day. Actually, I'm wearing it right now. I forgot I was wearing it. So this is actually what I stole the idea from. So it says yoga because murder is wrong. So I've been playing with that, right?
I like that.
So I've been making my own like with that brand, like borrowing that concept. And so I've got yoga because punching people in the face is wrong, and then of course meditation because punching. But it's more building on that theme. Like I think we could actually build a whole series of why taking care of your mental health leads to easier interactions with people because it's really quite simple this way. Like I don't get
One.
triggered or irritated nearly as much anymore because I take time to clear my mind. And you know that I'm big into human design, and my design is someone that can be very vulnerable to other people's shit. I'm an empath, but I'm also I've got sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, the channel's called Alpha, but I have this.
Emotional intelligence.
I wasn't going for that, although thank you. It was more like I have the ability to be intimidating, which is probably why I do everything I can to not look intimidating. My aura can be intimidating.
True.
So
the last time we talked, you had a cardboard tube and you were pounding it. It was a little intimidating.
That was intimidating. That's so funny. Well, because you
A
kept
little
talking
bit.
Al Capone in that movie and the
Uh,
baseball bat, and I was kind of swinging it. But to be fair, it was a roll up of brown wrapping paper, so it was pretty harmless.
I have one though. I have one for this.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yoga, because I like my car too much for road rage.
There you go. Okay, because I like my. Keep it going.
I like my car too much for road rage. I'm sure we could come up with hundreds of these.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Go.
Okay. Um,
And actually, that would be a yoga one. You're right. So I'll duplicate that one.
or yoga because I have brittle fists. I kind of like that. Like, oh, punching hurts, so I have brittle fists.
Well, so like, what are all these? Let's go down this tangent. So,
Yep.
in a wellness center, you've got sound therapy, you've got yoga, you've got meditation, you've got breath work. Um, so, if those are sort of the basis of, these are the tools that you would apply to avoid uh, an unfortunate situation, which is kind of what the whole thing implies, right? Like I'm meditating so that I don't punch you in the face. I mean, that's my gift to you, is my nonviolence. So, um, yeah, what else is there?
So, are we speaking about like, should we be thinking of this as far as Funky Town or yoga?
To me, well, the way I was approaching it is, it might be fun on a shirt, whether it says Funky Town or not. From a social media, like a campaign kind of thing, I think it might be kind of fun to play with the idea that, like a lot of people that are yoga in this space are very serious and very soft, but other people don't get introduced to it because they have these perceptions of those people too. So that, it ends up being like different camps. And I'm kind of hoping to take more people away from, maybe having a beer to deal with their mood to, taking care of themselves so that they don't end up in these uncomfortable situations. So yeah, it is kind of for Funky Town, but it could just work on a shirt. It could work on social media. Actually, it reminds me. I'll just share this with you because this is the place to do it. But for for my band, when we were trying to get more gigs, I played with a campaign where it was like something with a live band. So it was like dinner with a live band. That's obvious. But then we took it like water polo with a live band, and so I would take the band photo and then put us in a boat floating in a pool while people were playing water polo, or bris with a live band. So it was like a photo of like someone getting circumcised with a live band present, right? Like you basically have like band accompaniment. So, anyways, I thought that was a really good campaign, but we had a bunch of those. That didn't land for you, I can tell.
No, it's because the wheels are turning. That's why it's not.
Okay, what have you got?
It's not fully formed yet. One is it needs word economy. Yoga, because in therapy I only practice the fetal position. Because I was thinking of like the flexibility, the different moves and positions and downward dog, and that came to mind.
Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite jokes of all time, you just remind me of. I don't know who said it, but I think it's an old one. But my yoga instructor, my trainer asked me how flexible I was, and I said I can only do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
It's a good dad joke.
Yeah, that's a classic. I think that's actually from like the 40s or 50s. It was definitely
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Think about sound therapy, sound bowls, sound healing.
And those are hard just because there's not like it's a part where there's not a lot of understanding. People aren't as familiar with it.
True. I mean, even yoga, like there's 250 types of yoga, right? So like to just say yoga, I think uh, is not enough. So, and actually, I've got someone here meditating, so I gotta work on the imagery and stuff. But there is something there. I definitely like the because murder is wrong. Because honestly, like I think less issues would happen if everybody was just a little more chill. I think we're all pretty aware of that. And if stress is the number one killer, stress can also be a killer in that just how two killer monkeys come together, both having a bad day, and a situation that doesn't need to be bad becomes bad. So if one of those people shows up a little grounded, it's likely far less likely to be amplified.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And when we're thinking of something like this, my brain goes in two different directions. One is what are the benefits of yoga to it, like places where we can branch off to come up with jokes, come up with the taglines. So the first branch is what are the benefits of yoga and then going through those to look for opportunities. And the other is the dangers of the opposite of yoga, which obviously there's stress, anxiety, anger, and all of those, which, yeah, you've already played off really well.
Hmm. Okay, well, why don't we let that one bake? I just really I wanted to run that by you. A, to first see if the concept kind of landed, and I think the basic part does. It's probably not a concept that I'd get a whole lot more leverage out of the more I think about it. There's just a couple of good ones there, but
Okay. I
hmm.
have a suggestion for all future streams.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Since we're workshopping funny, I think we should each attempt one joke at the start. And it could be our joke or somebody else's joke. The other person give feedback on it or not. But I think that would be interesting. I would like to try that. If you don't,
Sure.
that's but
So you mean like just tell a joke, even if it's not yours, or
yeah, it'd be better. Let's try to come up with our own joke. But like last ditch effort, it's 5 minutes until we're streaming. You could look up a joke and do it. I don't want to put too much pressure on us if the week has been, if we just got lost in our journey of the week. But
no? I think that makes a lot of sense. Do you have one you want to run right now, or
I have some bad ones that I created a long time ago.
cool? Well, why don't you dig those up? I will tell you a joke that my daughter told me.
Okay.
So, and it's she didn't. I don't think she came up with it, and I definitely didn't either. But it's a good one. So, what did Cinderella say when she got to the ball?
What?
Huh.
What's that? I missed it.
It was huh.
Oh, God. It took me the second time, but then I definitely got it. Oh man.
Pretty terrible, eh? But pretty direct. That goes along with my other favorite joke, which is how do you circumcise a hillbilly? You kick his sister in the jaw. Anyways, those are terrible.
All right, I got some bad ones.
Okay,
All right. No, I'm gonna do that one. All right, I'll rapid fire some. Is that all right?
go for it.
All right. My 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 dishwasher is dying. It sucks because she also makes me sandwiches. My old neighbor told me that a great house is built on good bones. I wonder whatever happened to the Gacy's. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
that's the name of the previous family.
John Wayne Gacy, very
Oh,
famous serial killer in the who hid people's bodies under his house. So I thought of with that one. I thought of the phrase "a house is built on good bones," and then naturally my head went to, "Oh yeah, the guy who put all the people under his house."
yeah. No, that makes so. And I picked up on the Gacy's thing,
Okay.
and that made me wonder. Like, it could also just be that's a joke that you could take further, where it's like someone else's last name that isn't a known serial killer. It's more like it's your skeletons in the closet. Someone that you rubbed out. Right. There's probably a bunch of ways you could go with that joke to extend it.
Yeah. All right.
I like the first. What was the first one again? Because my head immediately thought Like I could see you taking that, branching that into all sorts of
All
directions.
these are just one-liners. I created some one-liners a long time ago. The first one, my dishwasher is dying. It sucks because she also makes me sandwiches. That's a bad, simple joke. Simple sexist joke.
Yeah. Uh, huh.
You want me to keep going, or you want me to stay on that? You want to stay on that
I,
one?
I don't. I don't have any in front of me, so you keep going.
Okay. Uh, how can I have an opinion on Second Amendment rights when I still don't know how the duck hunt gun works? Do you remember duck hunt?
Hmm.
My favorite phrase is "stop living in the past." I say it at all my interventions. Uh, last one here. I haven't aged well. I'm proof that Father Time beats his kids. Right.
The intervention thing gave me an interesting idea.
Okay.
Well, like remember the movie The Wedding Crashers? Like
Yeah.
you could explore a concept of someone being an intervention crasher. Like they literally,
Oh,
then they
wow.
plant themselves basically in the hallway. Where do these happen? But like in community centers and stuff, right? So you're just planting yourself in the hallway. The reason you're going to the intervention is they're probably going to have coffee there. So it's free coffee and you get to hear other people's drama, which should help you feel better about your own shit. So you can just literally you just visit interventions for your own self-esteem.
Oh
There's
man.
probably a harvest of things there.
Yeah, I mean you yeah, I'm trying to think about like traits of the people who would be at interventions. Obviously they may believe that they have uh enabled this person, so like I don't know, they're really understanding and nice. And I'm trying to think of other reasons that you would want to meet the people that are at interventions, other than like something simple like in Breaking Bad where they go to interventions to get people to buy drugs. Like that's too easy. So something
Mhm.
deeper than that.
And it got me thinking. I haven't heard the word intervention in a decade. Is that still something that's done regularly, or would you say that's shifted, or it's more dramatized on TV shows, and I just don't watch TV anymore?
Well, that too. There was the show Intervention, which was wild. And that was big here. I don't know if that was big in other places. And then I believe that joke came around the time where John Mulaney, very famous stand-up comedian, talked openly about his intervention and divorce and all that. So I think that was in the news around the time when I thought of that one.
Hmm. Yeah, that's probably got a lot of material that you could build off too, though. That could be a whole, not a monologue, but a bit. I'm sure.
True, but I've never had an intervention, so it's kind of cheap for me to go for it. Like it's not really true to who I am. It's funny thoughts that I've had, but it's not like true to me.
True. Yeah, I've actually never been in one or been the target of one. I'm sure there's times where I probably could have used one, but
Right. We're better at hiding things.
yeah, exactly.
We're really good at hide and seek. That's all.
Yeah. Hmm. You you went and did a couple minutes last week, right? You were telling me about that the other day.
I did just a couple minutes of stand up in Kalamazoo at a record store and did it after several poets. So that was interesting.
Yeah, how do you follow a poet, or did you have material to follow them?
Well, I spent most of my time trying to look through my 70 pages of notes because I haven't like structured a recent. I'm always tearing down my sets, and so I'll just have all these random jokes scattered throughout the document. And so like I was trying to come up with just the 2 minutes, so I wasn't too tuned into the poets, other
Hmm.
than like they had pretty good stuff. It was all pretty short to the point. Um, all like I don't know, kind of not necessarily like, I don't know, all meaningful. It was all, and I come up with just random dumb jokes. So it was very interesting. Like, yeah. So trying to paint the picture a little bit better. There's small record store, like a little keyboard, a microphone that's going in and out for everybody that's possibly um, that's trying to do anything. A very anxious host, who I guess is the owner of the place as well, who is trying desperately to get anybody up to do more than like 30 seconds because they're trying to host like a 1 hour open mic with like 4 or 5 people. And then after anybody was done with a poem, that it was snapping. That's not something you will ever see in a stand-up comedy show. Nobody tells a joke, like a dumb joke, and then that would be an interesting experiment to get a whole audience of a comedy show just to start snapping instead of laughing.
Were you the only comedian?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So
So
is
it
it
was like a
poetry?
music and poetry mainly is what people come there to do. Like I've emailed them before; they were fine with comedy. It's just not something normally
So
people are coming there to do. There is not a big comedy scene in Kalamazoo, which is kind of sad. Um, but yeah. So I went up there, started my joke about yeah, I was abandoned at a young age by my hair. And
mhm.
I could tell as soon as I said I was abandoned at a young age, there was people like nodding and really feeling that I was getting into some deep poetry or some deep admission, and they wanted to connect with me. Like I didn't think about it before the joke, but halfway through, I'm like, oh no, this is a bad idea. Like this is just yeah.
I think it's great because you talked about it before. I forget what was the phrase you used, but like you're level setting yourself with the audience. Like you're building empathy, you're building rapport, and then surprise them with the outcome that they're not expecting. So
And just bashing their trust, just
yeah.
destroying their trust and respect in one single swoop.
So like mechanically thinking about that, do you then go back to the empathy thing, or like do you think about that kind of structure when you plan a set?
Well, planning is that yes. In the moment, no. I mean, I scraped together a few things to try to get 2 minutes out of this. Like, so I'm not that good. Yeah, I don't know how you do crowd work in that environment, and I'm a little disconnected from my material to the point where I couldn't just like sit there for a few seconds and be able to grab a whole different thing to kind of adjust. Like if I'm going up regularly, doing a lot of mics and stuff, then I'd be more able to shift in the moment. But it's been so long, like I've
Yeah.
forgotten a lot of my material. Like it's all somewhere, but I need to access it and practice it and get back in the groove, and then I would be able to do that a little bit better.
Yeah, like recall and or you generally work on the delivery, like timing and stuff. Do you ever actually go to reach a joke and you can't remember if it was yours, you just heard it somewhere else and remembered it? Like there's so many things I'm like, I think I can't. I know I haven't come up with anything ever, but I also can't recall where I've heard it. So then I'm like, maybe I did, or maybe I somehow splashed two things together to make it into something, and I'm not even sure. Like I just don't remember.
Since since I write everything down, I don't have that as much, but I did question myself once because I had a joke, a one liner that I came up with, and then I watched a movie where it was like one of the opening lines on the screen was like almost exactly the same joke. And so I was like, oh no, like did I subconsciously and I know I had seen the movie before I came up with the joke.
Hmm.
So then yeah, I think there was some kind of something in me that like thought this was original and thought of it and didn't connect it to. I didn't even remember seeing that quote in the movie. I don't remember the movie, but the quote something along the lines of like I want to die like my grandfather, smiling and laughing and not screaming in fear like his passengers or something like that, something
Hmm.
to that effect.
Yeah, interesting. I think I told you this before, but I was at a hypnosis training course, and we did this dialogue exercise where we were looping stories. And I
Okay.
remembered thinking like, oh, this is a chance to kind of try stand up, even though it's not meant to be a comedy bit. It was like, how can I piece something together? Because I had to talk for a minute and I had to sound like I've done it before. So I wasn't just going to go up and like talk, it was like storytelling. And so I had decided that I had heard this one joke about LSD and doctors, and then tried to weave it into being a story where part of it was truly my experience. Like, part of it actually happened to me, and then I was able to borrow a joke and slide it in. And then part of me is like, that for there nobody cared, but like, could you do that performing live where you've heard an anecdote, it's part of a sketch that like people would like, you're rephrasing it, you're restructuring it, and you're merging it in? Because like at the end of the day, is there truly an original idea ever at this point? Like
The idea is no. That's why that's why all the advice to comedians is to make it your own. You draw from real experience, because there is nothing original, you're right. But you need to make it your own, figure out ways to insert yourself. So here's a one premise that maybe you could help me think of some funny things is. So something true to me. I figure I'm not a big flirt. I'm married, happily married. I don't naturally flirt with people, except I've realized I do flirt with people in three different situations, three different types of people: waitresses, stewardesses, and pilots, and nurses. So this all came from realizing, like, in a hospital, being fearful. I've never been more nice to like a person, or like wanting them to connect with me and like me, than a nurse. So like, so thinking of like, yeah, I still be flirting, but it's, with a nurse. I went home with a number, but it was like how many, pills I'm supposed to take over the next 48 hours, or like things like that. There's a lot to build off of there, but I haven't fully developed that.
But you're right. You do kind of flirt with the nurse. You do kind of flirt with the waitress. With the nurse, it's like, I want to make sure that this person is taking care of me and likes me, because as she's changing the bedpan in all the other rooms, like hopefully this special care where my food is, right? Like, it's all those things, right? It's in your best interest to be strategic, to have this person hold out a little extra care for you. And the same thing would be with your server, right?
Yes. Your life is in these people's hands to some extent. So
Yeah,
stewardesses or pilots, waitresses and nurses. And that's what I think. It's like something subconscious. It's like a survival technique. It's like, get them to like me to some extent, so they're not going to murder me.
yep.
Maybe they need yoga.
Well, yeah. So that's a whole thing area you could explore too, right? You maybe remind me of a time I was getting a haircut, and I was like 22. It's a long time ago.
Okay.
And this guy was cutting my hair, and it was probably the fifth time. Like, it was like, oh, finally I found a new barber. Because that was, every couple of years you'd have to start over and explain how you liked it. A number one, then a number two on the side, and tapered, and now this is easy. So I don't have a barber.
Yeah, this is easy too.
But at the time, I had found a guy that I thought I liked. But on my fourth or fifth haircut, I'm like in the chair with the thing wrapped around your neck, with your hands unavailable to you. He's got scissors at the side of my head, and he's trying to sell me Amway. So I was basically stuck in this chair for what should have been a 6-minute, 8-minute haircut, because my hair was pretty simple. It was 45 minutes. And I didn't feel like I could say no, because I was uncomfortable, and at that time a pushover from people that are not aggressive, but I don't know. I didn't want to piss them off, but I especially didn't when they have a pair of scissors at the side of my temples. Like,
That's all you need to base like a 5-minute set on, at least a 3-minute set. Like, there's so much there. So this is like, people have done, haircut jokes or barber jokes or Amway jokes, but nobody has that exact experience.
mm-hmm.
It's authentic to you, and you can build off lots of jokes that might even be similar to somebody else's, but it's all related to your specific experience. But man, there was like a 1 year period where, so I have an entrepreneurial background as well. I just drew in people that sold Amway. I mean, I was at a TJ Maxx shopping. I was at restaurants, or there'd be people reaching out to me randomly on Facebook that I hadn't spoke to in 8 years. Like everybody was just trying to get me to sell Amway. It was insane.
Hmm. Well, yeah, once that pyramid gets going, it seems like everyone does, and then it crashes and they move on to the next one. So, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about hair before because I think even when we were working on a bit for me, an opening bit was obviously about the mohawk, and because there could be a story there. Yeah, I mean,
And you could start with something simple like, I need a new barber, like obviously, or something joking about like using your current style as like an entry point into it, and then explain like I hate getting a new barber, joke, joke, joke. Then you start going into the story. One time they try to sell me Amway, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of the main products they try to sell. It's usually like what, like stuff in bulk, like toothpaste and cleaning products and stuff like that. Do you remember what he was trying to
it
sell
was
you?
it was so long ago, but I think you're right. It wasn't Tupperware, but it was sort of everyday. It was kind of like when you go to the
Stuff
grocery
you're
store.
going to buy this stuff anyway, so you might as well make money from it, right? That kind of
Yeah. And then, but people see you using it, they'll want it, and you'll get more money. And it was this all.
right. When somebody else is in your bathroom seeing you brush your teeth, they're like, "I want that toothpaste too." Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Hmm.
They're still using that type of commercial. Like there was today I was driving. They were like, how much gas are you spending? You can get money back every time you buy gas at the pump. Just use this app or whatever. People still use that. You're going to do it anyway, so why not make money from it? Just give us all your information and sign your life away, and you'll make 3 cents every time you buy $50 worth of gasoline.
Hmm. I got to tell you what I saw the other day, and I've driven by 4 or 5 times now, and I keep hoping to see it because I've got my camera ready. But like when you drive from Sydney into Victoria, there's a whole bunch of giant street signs. You know, the big board signs, right? That
Yeah.
like so there's a bunch of those, but there's a couple that are digital now. So like literally, it's changing every 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And this one actually, it must have been digital because I haven't seen it since, or someone took it down immediately because those things probably cost $1,000 by the time you print it and have someone on a truck doing that stuff, right? It's not cheap to rent that space.
No.
But I don't remember the exact wording, but it was basically some company or group that was very excited, and that was their words. We're excited to do the walk for the disabled. So it was basically like they were excited to be supporting it, right? But the photo they chose, the sort of clip art photo, was a bunch of able-bodied people like running through the street skipping. So like the wording and the photo aligned, but it was almost like that must have been produced by AI because
Right.
any rational human being would have thought, you know,
You're just rubbing it in, like,
yeah,
come on, you jerks! Like, jeez.
yeah,
Yeah, if I'm somebody, yeah, I don't want them walking for me. Instead, why don't they sit here like I have to?
yeah.
Like that's what they should do. Suffer for the disabled. I'm happy to suffer for the disabled. That's giving something back, not doing what
Yeah.
you do every day without problems, you jerk.
Yeah, well, and looking really, really cheerful doing it. It's like almost like they were gloating, right? Like, look what we can do. It just was
Yeah.
the wrong photo. It was so wrong. But it hasn't been back. So either someone picked up on it very quickly,
Mm.
or it's on the video one and I've just not hit the rotation. So
Yeah, there was something else. There was a town somewhere, I think it was in like Missouri or something, and it was something about like, hey, we're celebrating Black History Month, and it appeared to be all white people in the picture that they used. It was like you would think you would want some representation for something like that. Like the same with that image. You need
mhm.
representation. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's weird, eh? Like, why do people need to advertise that they're celebrating it. At that
Because
point,
it's marketing.
yeah, I know, but it's just there's an insincerity there too, right?
Oh, of
Like,
course.
so I mean, you want to support these causes,
It's
so
just
do
like
that.
why banks do it. Banks are trying to get they're trying to get trust. They have a target market in mind. They're trying to market to them with I mean, I don't know if you guys have it as much there in Canada, but it's hard to go to a chain here, buy something, and not be asked at the end if you want to donate to a charity.
Mm.
Do you have that there or no?
It's becoming more common, and even in Stripe, all the like website app kind of tools, if you start a business there, they're always encouraging you to turn that on because they'll collect the fees for you, and you don't have to do anything, but you get to then say you've donated to charity, and you get the tax benefits.
Right, and that's
Right?
why these big companies are doing it. They don't actually care about the charities. They're earning money. They're bettering their bottom line through your misguided generosity. Maybe it's not misguided, but they're forcing you. They're making you feel bad. Literally, so we have Petco's here, and the messaging was something along the lines of, "Would you be willing to save a puppy today by rounding up?" It's like, so if I don't give you my 37 cents after buying my $3 dog bone, I'm, you know, I'm shooting old Yeller. Like, it's goodness gracious.
Yeah. Well, same here on the like you go to a coffee shop and they've got the tip options.
Yeah.
And we're talking like literally handing a coffee, like a drip coffee
Yes.
across the thing, right?
I face that every day, Sean.
But
Every
ours,
day.
do yours have like different happy faces based on the percentage?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
No.
ours,
Is there,
we have
does that
like,
exist? That's
oh yeah,
amazing.
sad face, 10%, somewhat satisfied face, 15, 20% smiling, 30%, big two thumbs up.
If you,
Talk about,
if you see this, can you get a picture for me? I want a picture.
oh yeah, oh, they're everywhere here.
I've
Everywhere.
never seen one, and it's amazing. I am blown away by this idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to see this. Tip emojis. That's oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
great.
It pulls in your heartstrings, or it makes you feel bad. Like
Right.
I'm everyone else is and I'm not. Oh, I better had too, right? Like it's pretty gross. And I get the whole like the employees are underpaid and minimum wage and all this stuff. That's all true, but it's literally lumping onto the taxpayers that are already doing our own thing to survive. That now we have to solve their problems for where they've chosen to work. So
Yeah. I can't remember what chain it was, but I know they got rid of it within like 48 hours because they had so much pushback. There was a chain that went to almost all of the self-checkouts. After you checked out, there was a tip option on the self-checkout. You check out yourself, your groceries, you pay for it. The machine asks you if you want to add a tip. It was amazing.
yeah.
It went very viral and did not go in the grocery store's favor.
Kind of what you were already talking about before too. A lot of places here you can round up, so you round
That's
up
what
and
they're asking for.
round
Yeah.
out the charity as well. And again, the more I think about it, then they just do clever wording on the marketing side, right? So it's your dollar. You've donated to charity. Thank you. But at the end of the year, when they say we collectively or we together,
Yes.
so even if they put $1 in, they contributed together with their customers
Oh
this
yeah.
money.
It's
Yes.
marketing and it's for their bottom line. They're making money off it. At the end of the day, they are making money from you donating. They are. They're profiting.
Yeah, and everyone is too. Even the credit card carrier in the middle there's a little bit more charged, a little more interest to add. So yeah, so it's not actually the money's probably not helping anywhere ultimately. It's just draining more out of our pockets. Like just actually hand it to someone that's struggling that you see. So
Yeah.
and that's the thing that people are not helping the people that are struggling. I don't know about your area, but like way too many, like it's lots and lots and lots of people on the street now, like more and more all the time, and they're just being shuttled around and moved from one location to another. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, and that's funny, right? Because we're workshopping funny. I'm just kidding.
No, it's just a reminder that like
Man,
look.
all these homeless people. What other issues can we think of, Sean? Have you seen the ozone layer lately? Man, that's funny, isn't it?
No, but
Hey,
how is it great? So
hey, the sun's gonna explode, right?
okay, but creative thinking wise, maybe not funny, but like if you're gonna round up at the till, why don't they round up but that money is like stored at the end of the day, and whatever that amount was, the nearest homeless person, give them breakfast or something. Like literally, be that money wouldn't go and pay for new desks for all the not for profits that are waiting to collect this money while they're pushing paperwork.
So, something about the visual image of your hand movement when collecting the money made me think of there was a minor league baseball team that did a promotion where they dropped money from a helicopter onto the field and people were literally fighting over it. And there was like injuries and stuff. I know it's not good when I'm laughing when I'm talking about people getting injured, but the thought that that would go well, that the promotion of dropping thousands of dollars out of a helicopter and having people down there fighting over the money.
Mm-hmm. You made me think of because you're talking about promotion. This is a true story, and I'm reminded now. And so I had a company called IT Group, as a computer technology company, and our office was inside a hockey arena down here in Victoria.
Oh,
So we were regular sponsors and visitors of the hockey team, and had on ice logos and stuff. And but they had in on ice promotions that you could do, right? And so I had seen a promotion before where it was musical chairs on the ice, and so
no.
people were wearing helmets, and the
Okay,
chairs
good.
are like those big inflatable chairs. So when like they're already hard to sit in, but like
Yeah.
on ice, they're really hard to sit in. So it seemed like a really funny idea at the time, and because I'd seen it before. However, our implementation here in Victoria, that we have this local mascot that people love, Marty the Marmot, and so he's like a giant beaver, but like a marmot. It's like a they were
Awesome.
once supposed to be extinct, but they made like rabbits, and so they were extinct, like near extinction for like 8 months, and then they were like, oh no, we got to start culling them again. But so, anyways, Marty the Marmot's a team mascot,
Okay.
and they bring out 3 or 4 people with 3 chairs, right? So the idea is you take a chair away, and then there's 2 people because they would walk
Yep.
around the chairs, right? Well, I guess they chose some drunk guy, like really drunk, who Marty Marmot was always playful, so he'd always be poking people, and he was a really
Okay.
sarcastic, funny mascot marmot. I guess a lot of mascots are. So Marty the Marmot like kicks the chair out from under this guy, and then he like tackled this marmot, and then like basically wrestled him to the ground and was dragging him right by his feet in front of like 6,000 people. So
Kids.
and it turned into this big ugly affair where like the whole city wanted to lynch this guy. And I mean, meanwhile, like he didn't go there to try to hurt this marmot. Drunk, he was
Maybe
there,
he did, Sean. Maybe that was his plan the whole time.
maybe that was his destiny.
He's like, this is my chance. I'm gonna get rid of that marmot once and for all.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, like it was gonna like people wanted this guy hung up. Like it was bad, and eventually I think he probably issued an apology and all this stuff.
Well,
And
did the
once
marmot come out and say, "Hey, don't hurt this guy. We're cool now"?
Well, so I won't say the guy's name because the marmot always liked to keep his and that guy has since retired, but he liked
You
his
knew the marmot.
I knew the marmot, and he liked his anonymity. But it turns out that like at the time he was in this giant marmot costume, like it didn't really hurt, right?
Good.
But it was surprising. But he was ready to play. He thought I seem to recall like he thought it was unusual, and it was weird. But he went to Seattle the next day, like literally just got on a plane or something and went to a football game or something.
Okay.
He had no idea of like in the in the city what
Backlash.
was going on, right? Like it was a whole different scene, and the guy that was actually tackled was like shocking.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so
So it
yeah,
was a replacement marmot that got. thrown
Oh,
around.
no. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
like in the moment of the night, it was
yeah.
weird, it was awkward, it was
Okay.
unexpected, but he was totally fine. What
Okay.
had happened that night, though, is the outrage, the public outrage. Children crying because, like, basically watching Mickey Mouse get, taken down.
Did his head? Did the marmot's head pop off during the altercation?
Yeah, no. So he didn't reveal his.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was one. Like they've got an ethos, right? Like never speak. You never,
Yeah.
right? Because that
It's
just
it's
ruins
the
the.
marmot code.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have like this whole faction of marmots and bylaws, and they get together for marmot barbecues. Do they have like t-shirts? Do they have apparel with the marmot's face on it? Because I got to look that up now.
Probably. I mean, at the time, the team was the Victoria Salmon Kings, which isn't a hockey team anymore. But he did move to the new team, the Victoria Royals. So the Marmot's still the team mascot.
Wow.
They must have had the odd shirt. I wouldn't say that you could definitely get like a stuffy and magnets and stuff. I don't recall shirts, but
I started to type in Marty the Marmot, and results 4 and 5 in Google suggestive search is gets attacked and the Marty the Marmot incident.
yeah, yeah. So those chairs, I bought those. I thought that was a good idea. That was so, and the worst, but not the worst part is I think the chairs arrived that day or something. Like we didn't have a sign yet. So much as it, like, in a way, like, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Like this all over the news, the company logo never appeared once. So it was my segment, my
Good.
chairs, my stress, but didn't get the logo splashed anywhere. So yeah.
You got off easy.
Or I didn't get the benefit of a couple people having heard of the company. So
But true that, yeah, usually that's actually better for business than anything else. That's true.
yeah, because like that wasn't my intent for that thing to turn out like that, and I had seen it before, so people had succeeded with it. But yeah, you definitely, if you're gonna do musical chairs with inflatable chairs on ice, helmets are important, which they had, but also I would do a sobriety check with whoever's there, so that they at least have sound mind and footing. So, how you doing for time?
Doing all right. Do we want to keep going for a few minutes, or you want to call it?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I just know you had to get your kids soonish, so
Yeah,
like,
let's do like 5 more. 5 more minutes.
well,
And then we
like,
can
and I
wrap
think
it up.
storytelling is how jokes come about, right? Or how they get weaved in. Like, so you got any you got any stories of unexpected events? Because I bet we could mine out all kinds of stuff from that, right? Like that marmot.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's jokes that can come from that.
Oh,
Plus,
there's
just
yes.
people that you can
The
paint.
two stories you've shared are just perfect for you could build those out for even 10-minute sets. I mean, it wouldn't all you would kind of loop in and out and around but that's like both of those are perfect like foundations to
Mm.
build a comedic story and a full stand-up comedy set around. Those would both work for that. Absolutely.
Cool.
Most of my stories are more like traumatic than funny. I don't know how many funny ones I have like that. So you can still work off of those. You just have to not make it too dark or too sad. It still has to, like your marmot story. If somebody died, I don't think you could do it at all.
Yeah, nobody died.
It's funny because nobody got hurt. Like
Yeah. Well, and the dramatic stories. So, like, maybe I should phrase the question differently. Is there something? Well, and it's funny. The interesting thing I find in my life when I've gone back through trauma stuff is that I'll say, "Oh, funny thing," but then when you take it back to the root, it wasn't funny at all at the time. You convinced yourself it was funny, or your parents and family convinced it was funny because, oh, it was so funny when you were crying your eyes out. And meanwhile, you're like, that was a very traumatic day. Like,
you
thank you
say
for
funny thing to try to make it lighthearted or
yeah.
Yeah, maybe even to feel comfortable presenting it to somebody else. Like
Mhm.
you need to talk about it, but you don't want to have a serious conversation. So you're like, "Hey, funny thing happened the other day. My foot got ran over, and then somebody
Yeah, that
punched
was
me."
funny. Yeah, that hurt like funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's a bit starter, right? Like just that concept of language and
yeah. I
you know
and I would do something like so if I applied that to myself, "Hey, funny thing happened to me. I got robbed at gunpoint at a bank." Well, I guess that's not really funny, is it? And then something you why do we even say that funny thing? Like that's not funny at all.
Mhm. Why do we? Like, because I've been exploring that a lot lately with different words. Why would we say funny thing happened? Are we trying each time to diminish the weight of it? Is
Or
that
get somebody's attention, have them not feel like
hmm?
burdened by this, or like trying to get them interested. We're getting them to be okay hearing our Amway pitch. Like, hey, funny thing, like, except in this instance, we're not trying to sell them Amway. We're trying to sell them a conversation, or we're trying to do something for us, get something
Like,
off our chest.
that's exactly what it is, right? You know, people don't want to be dumped on with other people's stuff.
Mhm.
So, at the first sign that the person's gonna be like, "Oh, I've heard enough." So it'll be like funny thing, and they'll be like, "Oh, really? Oh," and then, "Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
got me again," right? Like,
Right.
yeah,
We're almost always in the mood to hear something funny. But if
yeah.
somebody's going to tell us about the most traumatic day of their life, it's like, well, all right, whew, like I not right now. Maybe next week, let's go get coffee. Let me prepare for this. Like, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's something you could explore too. Just the different ways that we lure people into a conversation, and like how do you start conversations differently, or what are the signs, right? Hmm.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a good spot to stop. And so our goal for next week, we each need to try to come up with try to create a joke. We each need to try to create one joke. Doesn't have to be good, but try to create an original joke. That would be our goal if you're all right with
So,
that.
do you mean like a one-liner, or it can be an
It can
anecdote?
be anything.
Okay,
We're just gonna attempt a joke.
yeah.
It can be 5-second one liner. It can be a minute, and you need a little bit of time to get to it. We can start
Okay.
there.
Tell you what, I'll send you a calendar appointment for our next one, and in it, I'll put that as a reminder.
Okay, sounds
Awesome.
good.
That's fun, buddy.